Hey, so I'm just finishing up a session here with one of my students, thankfully, Richard Eisner. So, Richard, we were just talking about this webinar that we're going to be, hosting. He had some questions and about, just the webinar that we're going to be hosting with, Barry and Itamar. And, when Barry and Itamar threw this all at me, I was just like, what? What's this? HIPAA, laws, regulations. I'm just like, part of the marketing field, period. Like, we always try to find angles and hooks and things like that to close off these leads, essentially, close people in the local marketing world. And so when they threw this all at me, I'm just like, I had to share it with you. But Richard, my student, he's actually a Lasik surgeon. This is what he does. So he deals a lot with this stuff. So, um, Richard, could you just speak a little bit on that if you can, like just on the whole HIPAA violation and all of that? So I'm gonna share this with all the guys, like I said. So
Well, I'm far from an expert on HIPAA, but I don't know how long HIPAA's been around, but I remember when it first started, it's basically HIPAA is a privacy. So uh, it's all about regulations, which I guess some regulations are good, but a lot of regulations are overbearing for companies and businesses. But I remember
right.
when HIPAA was first instituted, we all were joking, half joking, that we were going to have to put bags over all of our patients' heads in the waiting room so nobody would know who they were. Um,
Mm.
I'm sure that many of you know that when you go into an office, there's a clipboard with a sign-in form, and then they have a way of covering up the names, and yeah, it's just a big deal about protecting somebody's privacy. And so there are a whole host of regulations about what you can and cannot do in revealing or demonstrating. Used to be you go in the hospital and they'd have a board on the wall with the patient's names and who was in what room, and now they had to put initials or and so the general principle is that um, because there are some people that don't want their privacy violated, that now there are laws that everybody has to adhere to, and the real threat is not the regulations but the fines, the penalties. And so the again, I'm not an expert on it, but violations can run into hundreds of thousands of dollars um, because they're
Absolutely.
additive. So, like this screen shows, it's up to $50,000 per violation or per record. And so this is something that a whole industry actually has sprouted up. Whereas 10 years ago, I don't know how far back HIPAA goes, but that word didn't exist. And now there are companies, and all they do is go into doctors' offices and um, educate them, teach them, and charge them so they're HIPAA compliant, so they don't get in trouble and have to pay these penalties.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that could be very detrimental to anyone. I mean, it's just and from what Barry and Itamar were telling me, like it's kind of like a mixed deal because like these guys in the medical field can have business listings, but they can't be talking to patients through those listings, and it violates a lot of that stuff. And it's it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. So this is
Yeah, yeah.
essentially what, somewhat of what Barry and Itamar have to bring to the table. And, with this third party, they're actually going out there and they're finding these people who could be violating these laws, and it
I
makes
don't know if
that,
is my screen still showing. You see this statement right here, Guillermo?
yeah, when most physicians think of the health insurance for ability accountability, they immediately brought this data breach, but they should also be cleanly aware that it should violate federal law. Exactly. Yeah, like by replying to a negative online review. So like it's like any little thing, and it's a crazy law, man. I mean, and it's one that they've tightened up over the years as far as like what Barry needs to tell me. But with this other company that they are in partnership with, they're actually going out and finding these people, and they're making this process even easier for us. This is why the conversation is usually when we're prospecting, are usually looking for ways to begin that conversation with the prospect. But in this scenario, in this field, in the medical field, the conversation is already there. This is something that they know they can ignore. They cannot ignore this because it's something that could cost them tons. And that's why some of these guys need digital guys behind them to support them through all of this, because there's always some type of federal law, some change coming into place. So, but yeah, I just wanted to I literally stopped my session with Richard to record this for you guys. So again, Richard, I appreciate you, taking a couple little seconds to share this with my guys. Definitely going to share this with them. And yeah, so you guys stay
No problem.
tuned.
You bet.
Take a look at the description.